The emergency shelter is obviously empty, but we may as well check the basement. There's very little left here. A few wrappers, a FEMA pamphlet, some old protein rations. This is a Daizoom protein bar, brought to us by Soy Palooza. We remember these. They were a crowd-funded meal replacement bar that was supposed to be a low-cost way to replace the joy of preparing and eating different foods with some tech bro's idea of the perfect nutritional package. Of course, they were a horrible failure. They tasted awful and nobody wanted them, and then they vanished. That was a few years ago. Did the government buy them up as emergency food supplies? Eating these will make us miserable. If we couldn't find any other food, they might be worth a try, but as it is, we'd rather stick to our Toastums and cheese sandwiches. There's nothing else to be done here. We skirt the minefield and begin the hike back to our mall. There's something strange out in the field. From here it looks like a man, a dog, and a horse? But they're all wrong. As we get closer, we realize we're looking at some kind of gigantic pink monster, and that ain't no dog. They haven't seen us, so we'll just go around. Another newspaper. Public service announcement. Aid delayed. Fighting by the military at the edge of the New England disaster area is expected to delay civilian extraction. Civilians will be forced to supply themselves over the next weeks. Sources indicate that this problem is widespread in other major population centers, but aggravated locally by the very high number of bombing targets over the last 2 days. That's right, the bombing. They were saying it was China that hit us, right? Was that ever confirmed? No, nothing was ever confirmed, and unfortunately there was a lot of anti-Chinese sentiment stirred up because of people's paranoia. Our own government bombed us. China's just a scapegoat. Not that they're any better. Oh, come on. Why would they do that? Infighting. Deep state elements went rogue and the executive branch tried to rein them in. One side unleashes an experimental pathogen, the other side bombs their black sites to try to stop them. Oh my god, dude, shut up. What's a deep state? Do not listen to this fool. Look, all I'm saying is we let the system grow out of control. This country was founded on principles of individual liberty, but we let our fear get the best of us and sacrificed that liberty for the illusion of safety. We gave too much power to the government. Well, hold on, that last part I agree with. I was kind of hoping that since everyone on Twitter turned into a zombie, we wouldn't have to have politics anymore. Yeah, I assume the bots are still going at it. Ha! Returning to the mall, we spot 2 zombies trapped in a stairwell, hammering uselessly on the reinforced glass. They look like a mother and child. We can't just leave them in there. We make it quick. We look through some boxes, scoring another baseball bat in the process. We know from experience that these things won't last forever, so it's a good idea to grab any that we can find. The movie theater lobby here is full up, too. We'll feel better knowing there aren't a dozen zombies 50 yards from where we all sleep. Nestor's pretty scrawny, but he's got no problem wading into melee with that bat, and he's doing a pretty good job with it. It's nice to know we can rely on these two. The theater sits empty. If this place didn't stink to high heaven of rotting people, it might be fun to try to get the projector working. A gunshot nearly makes us jump out of our skin. We wheel around to see Kurt calmly plugging a zombie that's come down the stairs. Well, technically it was an escalator, but in the apocalypse, it has become stairs. It's looking pretty hairy up there. We tell the boys to hang back so that we can bait the undead down single file. We stand at the bottom of the dead escalator, battering zombies as they try to swarm down and get us. Bring it on, baby. I can do this all day. Suddenly, we're face to face with something horrible, and it's got a good grip on us. A bite from a normal zombie is bad enough. We never knew how hard humans could bite, but these mutated versions are getting worse and worse. We try to fend it off, but it sinks its fangs deep into our unarmored shoulder, thrashing around like an attack dog. We actually feel tooth scrape on bone, and unlike a dog, it also has fists to hammer on us as it shreds our flesh. We make a split-second decision and decide to run back to our friends. Unfortunately, we trip over the sofa in the dark and feel the corpse's clammy hands on our body again. We're seeing stars from the pain in an animal panic now. The boys rush in to help, shocked by the sudden appearance of this monster. But as it turns out, we didn't need them. Our bat catches it across the temple and it falls to the ground in a heap. A straggler comes down the escalator as Nestor helps us with our wounds. We team up with Kirk to put it down, but we're in no shape to keep fighting, and who knows what else could be up there. We gather our things and limp back toward the hideout, bleeding all the way. Clear of immediate danger, we patch our wounds up as best we can. Nestor covers our escape with his Glock, firing back into the theater as another zombie pursues us. We light a cigarette with shaking hands and return to the safety of the back room. The three of us are tense, all too conscious of how that could have gone. Despite the intense pain, we're still too amped up to sit still. We decide to do something useful and butcher the carcass of that goose we killed. We wouldn't normally kill some poor animal just because it was defending its territory or whatever. At least we like to think so, but maybe eating it will make it okay. That's not being a jerk, that's just nature, right? It's easy work with the boys helping. The hardest part is dealing with all the feathers. Despite everything, we find our mouths watering as we cook the bird over the fire. Fresh meat isn't something any of us were expecting anytime soon. I can't believe you made goose nachos. You're pretty handy, Mellifera. Our gear is badly damaged. We decide to spend a few minutes stitching it back together. It takes us back to our high school days, sewing Ramones and Bad Religion patches onto our backpack. We idly wonder if Greg Graffin is okay. He famously once asked, "How could hell be any worse?" Well, Greg, you got your answer. He's probably fine. It wouldn't be a proper apocalypse if he wasn't alive to be miserable in it. We consider the route we'll need to take. We left a working car near one of the graveyards, but the road to the refugee center goes straight through 2 cities at least. Given the state of Minot, we're pretty sure driving a vehicle through an unexplored city is a really bad idea. Maybe we can hike east along the trails and find a car out that way? Then we could approach the center from the south. I thought you said you were from around here. What? It's pronounced Minot, not Minot. But isn't it French? Yeah, but this is New England. People speak New English here. We head out to the promenade to grab something we saw earlier. The RV is wrecked, but there are 2 perfectly good mattresses inside. We take out a roaming zombie and grab them before anything else notices us. Merry Christmas. Now you don't have to sleep in a chair. Placing the mattresses with the asterisk key makes a serviceable bed. It's still not as good as a proper bed with a frame, but it's a little bit better than our armchair. Given that our friends have been risking their lives to help keep us safe, it's nice to be able to do them a favor like this. We can't go anywhere until we're healed up, so this might be a good time to brush up on our skills. We could read a book, but there's another option. Hey Kirk, you're good with people, right? I guess so. I kinda had to be with my old volunteer work. Can you give us any help with that? We might run into some unfriendly people out there. It'd be good if we had a plan for how to talk to them. We asked Kirk to run a training seminar, and he surprises us by taking us through some improvisational acting techniques. We learn the basic improv concepts like identifying motivation and building off of others rather than focusing solely on our own goals, something they call yes and in the business, are good ways to get what we want in the real world. He says that the key to successful negotiation is to get your goals to align with the other parties to mutual benefit. Unlike reading, this tires us out pretty quickly. After a while, we definitely feel we've learned something, but maybe we'll just flip through our magazine for a bit until bedtime. There's a lot of stuff we'd love to learn. We've seen how effective traps can be, and we're still eager to figure out how to rig up better devices, but we're also keenly aware that our mechanical and electronic skills are going to need brushing up. We hardly know how to drive, let alone make a broken car go again. But the zombies are changing, and weirder things are happening too. The world is only going to get more dangerous, and every decision we make puts us at risk of falling farther behind. We need more allies, better armor, a vehicle, a reliable way to get food. We need ammunition, better gear, medicine, and a safer place to live. We make a couple of sandwiches with the rest of the goose and drift off to sleep a little after 10 p.m. In the morning, we come to a decision. We're going to make a quiver. Drawing an arrow from a quiver is much faster than fishing one out of a backpack, and given that it's something you have to do every time you want to fire, it's essential if we're going to keep using that bow. Maybe archery can be like our thing. Nestor's got sharp eyes, a good mind, and he's a doctor. He's a better shot than we'll ever be, but he doesn't have the upper body strength to draw a bow like we do. Kirk's great with people, even though he's a little jumpy in combat. We'll never be as book smart as either of them, but maybe we just need to be clever instead. That doesn't mean that we need to limit ourselves or what we can do, but with 3 survivors working together, we have a little bit of room to diversify and specialize. We spend the next day and a half crafting a multi-function quiver. This isn't necessarily the best quiver around, it holds less than a proper leather one, but it's the easiest to make with the resources we have, and if we find a takedown bow, it's got a strap that'll hold it. We attach an arrow rest to our bow, which will slightly help with accuracy, and grab a handful of arrows. We score some ammo and bandages off a zombie along the way, and come across another newspaper. Lethal force deployed? Police and military forces deny the use of lethal force in riot control, but reports do not seem to corroborate their claims. From videos of gunshot-riddled corpses to aberrant reports from some military officials, it seems clear that at least in some areas, live-fire turrets with fully AI-driven threat recognition are being deployed to bolster an overwhelmed military. We reached Major Linda Price, Montpelier, Vermont, for comment. "I don't care what the orders are. I have men and civilians that need protecting," she told our reporters. "These rioters are worse than any insurgent I ever fought in Afghanistan, and I will use whatever I can to keep them under control." Unsurprisingly, the electric car we were using the other day is right where we left it. We hop in, turn on some tunes, and head down the road. We eventually pass a farm. We drive out into the grass, hoping we can find another road behind it, but we're disappointed when we come upon the tree line. Zombie deer! Zombie deer! We dive back into the car. There won't be room to dodge in here, but it's better than getting stomped to death by all of them at once. With Nestor's help, we managed to beat them all down. We could try driving around, but that might take all day, so we proceed into the woods, knowing that the illusion of peace could be shattered at any moment. Zombie deer! The woods eventually open up, revealing a logging camp. We snag a book about sword fighting. Could be useful. Over by the mill, we find a bow saw and a wood axe, adding them to our supplies. From here, we know the highway is north. All we have to do is keep walking. Horses! Is that zombie bear? We tagged the bear with an arrow, but it's just not enough. The monster charges and we're forced to switch to our new axe, which does the job thanks to some help from the boys. Further down the road, we encounter a jewel-toned wasp the size of a dog. It zooms right at us, catching an arrow and dropping like a rock just before it can get close enough to sting. As we pass a large stone building, we hear a recorded voice repeating a message. It's another one of those police riot control turrets. The police themselves are now zombified, beating uselessly on the machines. The building turns out to be a hunting lodge, sort of like a hotel for people who want to drive out to the edge of town and shoot at whatever's in season. There's a zombie and another one of those weird dogs out back. No problem for our bow. The north wing of the building has barred windows and is sealed behind a locked metal door. You think they had guns? One way to find out. We take our new axe and beat down the door that leads us to the basement stairs. There's just a simple workshop below. Breaking a few of the barred windows, we clear out the curtains to discover that it's just a pantry. We wouldn't mind some better food, but it's not really a priority right now. There are a bunch of rabbit-sized bugs running around. Giant aphids. There are also big globs of something that looks like clear jello on the ground. Amazing. That's honeydew. Ants sometimes farm aphids for the stuff, kind of like how we farm cattle. Farmed. It's sweet. That's their... Never mind. Let's get going. There are too many of us to fit in this coop. The big rig would be pretty sweet, but it's too wrecked up to drive. And here's an emergency shelter, half built. There's a hacksaw here. We could use it to go back and saw those window bars. For now, we decide to make a note of it and move on. Another coop. And here come the owners. Two feral humans, gibbering nonsense and hurling rocks. We put an arrow in one and the boys beat down the other. Maybe we can hotwire this car. Come on, Mel, turn off the alarm. They're coming. Luckily, the hordes are elsewhere at the moment, and only a few stragglers come out to check on the noise. The sun has gone down by the time we figure out how to get the car going, but the engine's busted. We walk away, alarm still screaming. Maybe it'll distract any zombies that try to follow us. It's a little hard to make the bow work when we've got friends with us. Aiming takes a while, and people have a habit of getting in the way of our shots. A thick fog rolls in as we creep down the street. Alone, this might be a blessing, but it's nerve-wracking constantly losing sight of each other like this. We can't make a lot of noise, and it's hard to tell whether somebody's fallen behind or been snatched up by a monster. nearing the edge of the cul-de-sac when we come across something horrible. A blackened corpse with a churning, bloated gut and eyes that glow red in the dark. It smiles at us, and in that smile, we catch a brief glimpse of something even worse. We drive the butt of our axe into it, knocking it off balance. Then we bring the head down in one terrible chop. With a bizarre shriek, it bursts into a swirl of ash and is gone, leaving only a bag it was wearing on the sidewalk. Nothing special inside, just a tourist's guide to Sweden. Not that Sweden. Free of the little town, we flick on our flashlight, happy for the chance to see each other's faces again. We spot a gas station, but the only car handy is another coupe. We take turns popping zombies with Kirk, following the road until we come across a campground. Wait, is that a Mercedes? We find a set of keys in the V12 Sports sedan. Whoa, mama. At last we reach it, surrounded by fences and barbed wire, a massive brick building with barred windows. Cautiously, we do a check of the area, then push open the doors. Against all odds, we discover a room full of people, actual human beings. Who could have imagined such a thing was even still possible?